Hi and welcome to today. I'm Amanda and I'm taking you on my 31 days of essential tools and supplies. My essential tools and supplies may be different from yours, but today we're going to be playing with. So let's get started. Hello and welcome to today. Today I'm looking through my pencils. These are Graphite Tint and my drawing pencils, and oh, my favourite is this water soluble graphite. But we'll get to that in a minute. But I was just sitting here thinking, I mean, I've collected pencils. I've been drawing for over 30 years now, and all the pencils are not created equally. I mean, obviously I'm not just talking that, you know, you get the H's and the B's, but different pencils, I guess, whatever the different pencils, different brands are made differently. I guess that process. Now I'm sorting them out, and I'm thinking to myself, this again itself is an activity that is quite soothing. So I'm looking at the different pencils and putting them into their, well, you can see what I'm doing. I'm just explain everything. So anyway, putting them into their different groupings, and sometimes that in itself can be enough to kickstart your creativity. That shouldn't even be there because it's a coloured pencil. And just sorting out your supply, it's just like, I mean, you might be somebody that actually has a really ordered supply, so I'm not trying to step on any toes there. But if not, this activity could be something that you could. Is that a rubber? Yeah, it's a eraser. But I want to kind of go through. Actually, I need to. They were just all sitting in here, and I thought I was gonna neaten them up so that I could show you. And then I thought, well, that's an activity that I can show you that is quite soothing. Okay, so it looks like, what's happening here? No. Spectrum Pro. So some of these were from a set, like you can go to WH Smith's and get a set of pencils, and some are from, these were my dad's. I found like sets of these, and there's only so many pencils that you can use, so they just sat there. Now I'm trying to think which was my first. So I started out drawing, and I'm going to put the ones that, yeah, I started out drawing. That was one of the first things I did, and I had a collection of pencils, and I think it's these were the first, one of the first pencils that I actually brought. I mean, as I say, I had all of the other, the ones that my dad's left, but I found that the drawings that I did, I needed, you know, like the B's, and 4B upwards was what worked for me. So I would go to, as I say, I'd go to WH Smith's. I'm just putting the ones in here that, so that I'm not, that are just random. Yeah, all of these are random, but these are ones that I would use. Like this is a HB, and I would just use it to kind of draw outlines. And I would find some, even though they were H's, they would have a nice effect. So these mechanical pencils I've only just recently started using, so I'll put them aside. But the ones here, these are from back in the day. Memories, like the corners of my mind. So, oh, perhaps I shouldn't have sung that, it's copyright, isn't it? Anyway, so 4B, these are 4B, and that's a B. So I would use these, and these also were in the beginning. I would use them, so they're Bs and 2Bs. So I would find that I preferred working with these because I did a lot of sketches, a lot of drawings, a lot of portraits with pencil, and I found also these very useful for shading, and you can see they're well used in terms of shading. I initially started just kind of using my fingers, use these, and then I was using brushes. When I brought my first brushes, I would do that, use the brush to create shading. So these are like, oh my gosh, these are the first ones that I used. So I'm going to put the pencils away now, but as you see, they make for, in terms of tidying up, and I did start, but that's an activity that you can do if you find it's going to help you. So the kits that you can get, they normally go up to 6B, no, or 8B, so that's a 7. I saw an 8, yeah. I think I might have had to buy these separately, the 7 and the 8B, and they got well used. There should be a 6 somewhere. So the pencils got well used and these got well used, but I also combined them with the brushes. So I'll put them in there. And I'll show you some of the others that I use. So this ranges from 6, I think these just went up to 3B, no 4, and that's why it was disappointing. Sorry, let me get it right. They went up to, yeah, as I say, you know, 6B. Like, you get these kits pencil, and I guess they don't expect people to be, you know, using them, I don't know, or whether you have to buy them separately. So that's what I did, and these again came in a kit that it says 4B, but it's not really. But I graduated, I found others. So let me show you the ones that I then found and that I started using. And I'm gonna need my journal for, this is the one that's coming through the journey with me. So actually I'll just utilize that page. So there's two different ones that I want to show you. These are just, this is a drawing Chinese white, and white sketching soft, and a rubber. Oh yeah, and then obviously the rubbers that you get, erasers that you get specifically for charcoal or pencil. So I would utilize those. So I found, but this is still only 3B, so Faber-Castell do this it's a 3B graphite, which I found, you know, it's nice and soft, and if you're drawing with it, you know, in terms of, you know, doing shading, it spreads. But then when I started to get into mixed media, I wanted to be able to use a graphite pencil, but also just move it around with water. So obviously, I mean, this is moving around, but it's not really what I would want if I was drawing, say, I don't know, just a it does it to a certain extent, but it's not, it wasn't thick enough. But that's actually not bad when you think about it. But it depends what you're doing. It really depends what you're doing. Anyway, so out on my travels, I then found these charcoal pencils, and they are amazing. They look like this originally, and I've had this. It's a packet of 12. I think I've given some away, and I have had them for at least 25 years. It's just so weird. I mean, I do use them all the time. I use them in, you know, drawing, but these are the ones that I think I've got 3 like this that I've used down to this, but they last a long time. And that's, you know, you'll find with some supplies, depending on what you do, they will last a long time. And obviously there's more coming out on the market, but you decide what it is you want to kind of get into. And I make sure that with my what I do is everything that I have or have brought, I can utilize it. I can combine things, so even watercolor, so I can start something off with watercolor but finish in acrylic, or add watercolor. That's the beauty of mixed media. I know that some are not supposed to mix, but or pencil, graphite pencil and watercolor, or you know, whatever. So with these are charcoal pencils, but I found that I was able to manipulate with them. You see, so they come up and they still leave a line, depending on what you're drawing. But I would normally draw a figure, or like, okay, draw a figure and use that to soften it and to activate it. Use the paintbrush. Sometimes I'll do it with gesso, or paint as well, so I might get the gesso. I always have to be using gesso, don't I? So I'll get the gesso, and you know, dependent on the colour that you want or whatever it is you're doing, or like this is I did it on gesso, but it just softens it and adds something else to it. So I was quite happy working away with these, and then a friend gave me this. Oh no, before I go on to this, Graphite Tint, oh my gosh. Derwent, they do this. I found these, yeah, this is what I started working. I didn't realise that you could get graphite, water-soluble graphite in so many different colours. The colours, I don't find them that deep, and I will do a review on them, or whether I have done a review, I can't remember. So it's like graphite with a, it's called Graphite Tint, so it's graphite with a tint hint of colour. And again, I would use these when I was drawing portraits, and it was just like brilliant. You can add colour. You don't have to have the heaviness of a paint on the paper. I don't want to necessarily use watercolour or whatever, but it is like a watercolour, but it's got graphite in it. But then, you know, once you activate it with water, you get some nice colours. Where's the red? Port. Is that port? Yeah. And I've not experimented with them on fabric, but I doubt if you'll get, I mean, with the ink tints, they work on fabric. But again, that's experimenting. So using your supplies in a way in which you can experiment. But the piece, the one that I just love is this one, and it's a 9B, and I use it in everything. This is, if I'm doing a piece in my journal, my art journal, I will use this. I will use this for creating images, to start the image off. Like I do a lot of when I create, the way that I create my images is to see what is coming out. Like here I can see like just a face, the makings of. I can even see there. So that's how I would use it to draw, to create the outlines, and then I would go back in with my brush and go over the lines just quickly. And that is a great way to, you create a background. I'm all for, you know, helping you to find ways to play with your supplies, create backgrounds, and have fun. Get to know your supplies, because the only way that you'll be able to get to know your supplies is by utilizing them and having fun. Gesso is never far away, and I find it works really well with this. If I wanted to just create, you know, a very pale, monotone kind of image, Gesso works really good. But you know, obviously whatever you got. But this is, if you're a mixed media artist, for me this is definitely essential. Not everybody likes Gesso, but I find Gesso is an essential. It's an essential for me, and you can use it in so many different ways. Again, as a mixed media artist, you would find ways in which to use it, because you can use it on fabric. But the this is a Staedtler graphite, water soluble graphite, and I've had it about 4 years, and as I said, I use it, I do art journals all the time, but you're not using that much, you know, because it spreads quite far. And the only way that you could seal it in is if you put clear gesso. You put clear gesso, or if you're painting over it, put the gel. But as you know, if you continue to paint, you'll continue to move it around. But you see how easy you can create a background that then can tell its own story, utilising very limited materials. So go forth and play, and if you've got pencils, dig them out. You might not have this, so is that the paper coming off? I need to put something over it. The paper's just kind of wearing out. The paper's still on it, but it's wearing out. But I do encourage you to, these two would be, I don't even know whether you can get this anymore. You can get charcoal pencils. And the other thing I loved about these, the charcoal pencils, is that I always wanted to use charcoal but hated the messiness of it. I'm not too fussed now, but I really don't like the messiness of charcoal. So these are just brilliant. Okay, so I hope that's helped and given you an insight, and I hope that's encouraged you to play. So look forward to seeing you tomorrow. If you're new, please do subscribe to the channel, and have fun with your supplies. Okay, see you tomorrow.